Remember Halloween as a kid when you got to dress up and play make-believe but out in the real world? What was your favorite costume? A kitty or a superhero or whatever I'm dressed up as here? I think this year was Rainbow Bright Princess. Halloween was so awesome. It was so much fun and laughter and excitement, but not always. In my family, you never knew quite what was going to happen when my dad was there. One minute you're coming back from trick-or-treating, super excited, and the next minute your candy bucket is flying across the room amid shouting and tears, bruised feelings, or even bruised bodies. All right, that got serious really quick, didn't it? To be clear, today's talk is not explicitly about domestic violence or my father or the tragedy of spilled Halloween candy. It is about trauma and how trauma impacts our ability to see and make intentional choices. Before we get to that, I'm just going to share a little more background. So my family was dysfunctional. Like if there was a family Olympics, we'd be bringing home the gold in events like mental illness and coping mechanisms and crushing passive-aggressive commentary. It was always weird going to friends' houses where no one was screaming at or hitting each other, and I'm like, what is wrong with these people? And while I'm okay now, what I didn't know then is that there was something wrong in my family. I didn't know that I was growing up in domestic violence. I didn't know that I was growing up in trauma. Now, we don't all have the same background, but it's very likely that you or someone you know has experienced trauma in your life. Some people think trauma is only for soldiers or survivors of violence, but bullying, growing up in poverty, and losing a loved one are just a few of the many sources of trauma that surround us every day. And trauma changes our brains, especially children's brains that are still developing. Parts of the brain related to stress and threat responses overdevelop, while other parts of the brain related to emotional regulation and decision-making underdevelop. For me, growing up, one of trauma's big impacts was the inability to see and make intentional choice. Now, intentional choice, and the key word here is intentional, requires you to be aware of your situation, think about your options, and then make a decision based on that thinking. Trauma prevents us from thinking by launching our fight or flight system, where our brain is flooded with chemicals that drive us to react to a situation without thought. Say a healthy fight or flight system goes from 0 at rest to 10, which is fully activated. Imagine walking down the street and a crazed alligator launches out of the bushes in front of you. Your fight or flight system kicks in from 0 to 10 without you thinking about it. Ideally, you're running away, but individual results may vary. And eventually, once you're safe, that system is going to start resetting back down. Now, following such a trauma, what happens is it may not reset back down to 0. After that, it may only reset to 8. So now you're starting from 8. And then you could be walking down the street and a fluffy bunny could lunge out of the bushes in front of you. Your system, already chronically activated, goes from 8 to 11. It stays there longer, and it takes longer than an untraumatized brain to reset to 8. So, thanks to my good friend trauma, I spent most of my youth reacting to my environment, therefore not thinking, therefore not making intentional choice. Until the morning of the rhubarb pie. Now, I have to tell y'all, my mom makes the best rhubarb pie on the planet. And I know your mom also makes the best rhubarb pie, so let's just agree to disagree, okay? I'm 15, I head into the kitchen to make some toast for breakfast, and sitting on the counter is one of my mom's rhubarb pies. Now, some of you rebels in the audience already know where this is going. Who here has ever had cold pizza for breakfast? Or leftovers? or dessert. Well, I was 15, and I hadn't crossed that majestic meal mixing threshold yet. Breakfast was breakfast. It was eggs or cereal or toast. And to be perfectly clear, I wasn't afraid of eating rhubarb pie for thinking that I would get in trouble. What was happening was that long-term exposure to trauma had made my brain so reactive that I have literally never stopped to think about the possibility of eating such a wildly non-standard breakfast food. So I'm making my toast, and I look over like, oh, wish I could have a piece of that rhubarb pie for breakfast. Stupid toast. Rhubarb pie for breakfast? Stupid toast. Rhubarb pie for breakfast. I served up a big slice and I ate a forkful, and I will tell you, that first bite tasted like victory. That was the moment that I realized I had made a choice. See, there are levels of visibility to choice. High visibility choices, like an alarm going off that you can't ignore. Low visibility choices, like when your phone rings and you answer it even if you didn't want to. And no visibility choices. These are invisible choices that we don't have the experience or perspective to even see. They're hidden from us. In my case, hidden by the reactivity of trauma. Eating pie for breakfast was an invisible choice until that morning where I took the time, thought about my options of toast or pie, and chose to eat rhubarb pie for breakfast. Choice is one of the only things we have, but you can't make a choice if you don't know it's there. So what's your rhubarb pie? What's the choice you didn't see until you did? Because choice can be hidden, here are 3 steps to help us see our choices. Be kind to yourself, be honest with yourself, and seek outside perspectives. First, be kind to yourself. When we're unkind to ourselves, it hurts just as if someone else had done it. And that can trigger our reactive system and drive us away from thinking and away from intentional choice. The skill to learn here is to stop and notice when we're being unkind. Just observe it. I notice I'm not being kind to myself right now. Eventually, that moment of observation will turn into an opportunity to choose compassion instead. I notice I'm not being kind to myself right now. And this is a really hard situation, and it's okay that I'm sad or angry or upset. Dr. Richard Davidson with the Center for Healthy Minds says we can change the brain by changing the mind. His research shows that engaging in self-compassion can actually help rewire your brain for more compassion in the future. When I was in my 30s, I went in one day to see my favorite therapist. And I have to tell you, I love that I've had enough therapists that I have a favorite. I go in to see Dr. Fish, tell him that I'm really frustrated and upset. And he says, Jacy, what do you say to yourself when you're frustrated? Well, Dr. Fish, I tell myself to shut the F up, don't bother anyone else with my problems, put on my big girl panties, stop whining, don't cry, and shut the F up. And I know I'm not alone. I know some of you out here know what I'm talking about. You don't have to come from an abusive family to beat yourself up. Well, Jacy, it sounds like you're not very nice to yourself. And I literally laughed until I cried, like, oh my God, Dr. Fish, what, are people nice to themselves? Yeah, Jacy, they are. Oh. 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 And at that moment, I saw that I had a choice in how I treated myself. I could choose to be kind to myself. Prior to that, being kind to myself was an invisible choice. Now, it was my new rhubarb pie. Choice is one of the only things we have, but you can't make a choice if you don't know it's there. So what's your rhubarb pie? What's the choice you didn't see until you did? Step 2 in seeing choice is be honest with yourself. Sometimes the truth hurts and then we judge ourselves. Why are you so upset by this? You should be able to handle that. And that causes reactivity that focuses us on our pain, not our choices. Once you're able to be kind to yourself, that makes space where it's safe to be honest with yourself. Honest about what you feel, what you want, what your choices are. Transformation expert Patty Hendrickson says, "I live with my choices and they live with me." Patty has an outstanding tool called a choice journal, where in the morning you grab a piece of paper and reflect, ask yourself, what are the choices that I see for today? At the end of the day, come back and reflect without judgment. This is your chance to be really honest with yourself. What choices are you proud of? What choices would you have made differently? And was there anywhere you felt like you had no choice? And is that really the truth? Choice is one of the only things we have, but you can't make a choice if you don't know it's there. So what's your rhubarb pie? What's the choice you didn't see until you did? Step 3 to seeing choice is get outside perspectives. Have you ever wanted to really talk to someone else about something, but you didn't because you were afraid? Afraid of judgment, of repercussions, that nothing would change? Fear undermines connection, and the neurochemistry of a fearful brain drives us to isolate ourselves. It's critical that we connect to other people, especially when we're fearful, because we need their perspectives. We cannot see our own lives. We're too close. It's like we're fish and we don't even know we're swimming in water. We need someone else to come along and say, hey, did you know you're swimming in water and your water is blue? And we need to be open to these outside perspectives when they're shared with us. To wrap up today, I'm going to share a story of when someone else's perspective changed my life. In my early 30s, I had a badly ruptured spinal disc, required surgery, and due to the nerve damage, for 3 months afterwards, I needed a walker to get around. And then for the next few years, I had a knee-high leg brace and a cane. By my early 30s, I was still struggling to get around. I was in pain every day. So to try and rebuild the strength in my affected leg, I joined this fancy boot camp style gym. I saunter in for my first class, all excited, not realizing that there are 3 levels to class: low, medium, and high intensity. So which group do you think I randomly wandered into? High intensity, of course. I am barely making it through class when we finally come to the crab walk. It's where you get in a push-up position and walk sideways across the floor. That was it. I knew it. The crab walk was going to end me. We're going in a line, there's people in front of and behind me, so when it's my turn, I get on the floor, I start walking across the gym, and immediately I'm sweating, I'm panting, literally dragging my leg behind me like, go on without me. I stop to catch my breath, glance to the right, and who do I see there? But Mr. Super Fit Dude. Mr. Super Fit Dude is happy as a clam. He's cruising along, not even breaking a sweat. And seeing him, I turn to myself and say, what the hell are you doing here? You're so stupid. You don't belong here. You're just in everyone else's way. And on and on and on. eyes brimming with tears of humiliation and frustration. I'm about to start crying, and Mr. Super Fit Dude looks over, and he knows exactly what's going on. And he says, just loud enough for me to hear, "Hey, you're doing a great job. You're going to get there. Take your time. Don't worry about me. I could use the extra exercise. You're doing me a favor." And in that moment, I saw it. I saw the choice to open myself up to his compassion. And his kindness reminded me that I had a choice. I didn't have to be a victim of my horrible self-talk. And so I chose to be kind and believe in myself, just like Mr. Super Fit Dude did. I crab wobbled the rest of the way across the gym and collapsed in the floor in a cramping heap. And the world was different in a way that I cannot explain. I had opened myself up to an outside perspective, and this amazing stranger, whose name I don't even know, somehow managed to find a piece of my mom's rhubarb pie to share with me. Choice is one of the only things we have, but you can't make a choice if you don't know it's there. So what's your rhubarb pie? What's the choice you haven't seen that you will now? And what will happen when you do? Thank you.